Hey guys, it's TF9. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the brand new Medicom Toy MAFEX, the Batman figure number 188 Batman figure. Very excited to finally have this after several delays and a recent recall, actually. Some people will unfortunately have to wait a little bit longer for theirs. Some people like me and a few others online were able to get theirs before it got recalled though, and I'll talk about that recall in a little bit. I've been holding out for this one for a very long time. If I didn't get Nightwing or Scarlet Spider, which I really like to fit those figures, this would have been the one to get me back into the MAFEX line last year, just because I was so excited for this particular figure. Didn't pick up the From Toys version, was never interested. Heard the Tamashii Nations one, SH Figure Arts, that one was really rough. And we'll see the Mezco one like 2040, so there's that. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's talk about the packaging. Very cool standard box for the MAFEX line, black and red going on. DC logo, figure in the box, all the contents you see there. Figure on the left side, it does say the Batman, the logo right there. We also have MAFEX Medicom Toy and the Batman action figure. On this side, again, the logo from the movie with the Bat logo in there, very cool. MAFEX, the Batman figure number 188, name to the figure, as well as a sticker for Medicom Toy right there. On this side, pretty much the same thing, you know. This time, instead of sideways, it's just straight up the Batman there. And then the figure, you know, profile shot of the figure, as well as the Batman MAFEX. On the top, again, yeah, this actually, I'm pretty sure, from the actual movie, and it does say the Batman, so it's not the figure. On the bottom here, warnings, ages 15 and up, and all that barcode. On the back, really nice product shots of this figure, with different, you know, accessories being shown off, different posing going on. Very cool. Just zooming in from the bottom to the top, actually, I'll show you the rest of the box. Or the back, I should say. This comes with a lot of stuff. Can't wait to open this. So, let's go ahead and crack this thing open. And here is the figure out of the packaging. There are some design choices with this particular figure I think are a little bit weird that Medicom decided to do here. A couple of nitpicks, but man, I am really liking this figure. I think they knocked it out of the park, personally. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories. There's a lot. I will try my best to get quick with them. Then we'll take a closer look at the figure. So every pair of hands this figure comes with, and it comes with a lot, including the fists on the figure packaged in the box. You see how it's going to be done, where you have this little like latch piece or whatever right there on the back of the left hand. Not that they're exposed, but like the way the design is done, slightly exposed knuckles there. You see a little bit of like some padding on the knuckles, really on the close to the tips of the fingers for each hand, of course. So let's go ahead and just talk about exactly what kind of hands we have. We have hands here that look like fists, but with a separated thumb. I don't know how, like what these are exactly for, because you can't really get a snug fit with this battering right here on the end here unless you hold it in the middle, and even then sometimes it's kind of hard to even fit in there. So maybe it's like that. But then there's also these gripping hands I've seen images with this figure being posed with, and you would fit these in here and he would hold that like that. So I don't exactly know if I'm doing anything with the thumbs correctly. But then you also have different gripping hands. I had to put this in there to know which ones I'm talking about. You have slightly different gripping hands in like a particular groove in the palm for holding the flare. Every pair of hands, by the way, you get left and rights of, ambidextrous, so all that looks rather good. Then you get these that are meant for holding the wrist like grapple hook guns. And you get, and I'll pop this out in a second, but you get two of these, and we'll talk about that. The way that these are done is like the palm is a little bit more flat here, and these are way more extended trigger fingers for each of those grapple hooks. And I say that because then you have these trigger hands where they're a little bit more curled into the palm for this exact grapple hook. We're going to talk about the weapons separately in a second. I'm going through the hands though, like just really quick. We have these more expressive posed hands where all the fingers are a bit more separated from each other. These little clear pieces for pegging into the holes for the hands are very helpful in grabbing and showing you guys. Slightly more posed hands where the the ring and pinky figure look a little bit more relaxed, but you have a little bit more of a type of pose, like a fighting pose with the index and middle finger there. Just lots of different types of hands for different situations. And like I said earlier, he comes packaged with the fists, but the last pair of hands I want to show off are the relaxed hands. They could be for different posing, but these definitely look more like relaxed hands. Okay, for the actual arsenal, that was insane. This actual grapple hook gun, the grapple gun, looking really great. I love the silver details, the black paint used on here. It looks a little basic, but it still looks really good. I'm fine with it. Has a paint on here at least. I think there's actually a little bit of like a very dark gray and black there, or it all could be one color, but the light is playing tricks on me. This hook is not removable, and it is a more brittle plastic, and it looks a little warped here. I have to heat this up later, but just be careful with that. Unless someone says otherwise, they find out. This should not be removable, even though it kind of looks like it. That's what the other side looks like with all that silver paint work. This is a very cool piece. And you also get a holster for that. So Batman here comes with the holster undone. Or, yeah, like nothing in the holster, I should say. It's a little bit hard to remove that at first, but once I do remove it, I think the paint kept it, like, being really stuck. You put that in, and I don't have the best, like, push in there right now, but that's what that looks like in there. And you can see that it's got, like, some nice leather type material going on in there. We'll look at this one here more later, but they're both they're the exact same holster, of course, so they're going to be detailed pretty similarly, but you can see how that hole looks like for this particular gun, and that is not removable, so you don't get a grapple hook gun with and without the hook, but that's fine with me. We have the one batarang with a dark gray plastic with some silver dry brushing, some yellow on some sides here. Very nice detailing. I will show images in the photo section at the end of the video, but we also have this separate chest piece for when you remove the batarang, because he's stored in his chest. So that's what that will look like, and you'll just pop off the chest that he comes with, which is pretty easy to do, but you should still be careful because these pegs are still a little bit fragile. He comes with two of these different types, pretty much the exact same, I'm pretty sure, of the wrist grapple hooks. So we'll look at one, because this is where it would shoot out right there. Then this long piece coming from the wrist there. It's just a black plastic, but it still looks really good. I think there's like one base coat of black on here, so that's nice. Speaking about those, he does come with these alternate gauntlet pieces. It took me a second to realize, like, why do we have separate gauntlets? It's because of when he has, he's shooting out the grapple hooks from his wrist. So that's what this looks like packaged there. The way these are stored right there. And these are actually really easy to remove, but it doesn't get in the way of articulation. They still pose really well with it being easy enough to remove, but still stays in there when posing. So it's not like you're going to fall out all the time. And you get two of these. And again, we'll show off some photos towards the end. But it's a nice touch that they provided these. But other than that, on the outside here, they look the exact same as the wrists that he came packaged with. We have one flare. It's not lit, unfortunately, but we have some yellow, like almost like orangish yellow here, the white, and then the black. This seems a little bit warped, but this is a more stiffer plastic, so I would have to heat this up later to like make sure this isn't too warped. But it doesn't look too bad on its own, though. I'm really digging how that looks. I do wish there was an option to put something lit up here. Now we're going to move on to the heads. Wow, there's a lot of stuff. So, gritting teeth face, which the light might be a little too harsh on this. Gritting teeth face looks great with the nice eyes printed there, looking straightforward. I think at some angles it looks a little goofy with that, but straightforward, the gritting teeth look really good. There's a little bit of face printing going on here where it looks like it's a little too heavy in the face printing around the cheeks and the chin, but all that looks really good. And the cowl, this is detailed pretty much the exact same way that the figure's cowl is done, which is really nicely done. The glossier black here, all that looks very great with the stitching and all that. Some of the cheekbones coming through. We have a separate cowl for when he's unmasked and he's holding it. This is a really cool accessory. I'm sure some people have probably like made their own unmasked cowls from some of the other Batman figures we've gotten. But it's nice that we have, you know, like maybe like eBay sellers have done that. It's nice to have a separate one like this. We do also have this alternate head with the eyeliner pretty much all throughout there, and the messier head, or hair I should say. A little bit, I think it's mostly molded in just one color of brown, but there's slightly some like lighter brown and some of the darker brown there. I think that this likeness to Robert Pattinson looks really great compared to this one. I don't think that this is a horrible one with the, you know, the more neater head, but I think that either way, I think the forehead might look a little too big, but I think that's accurate to how he's supposed to look. Face printing on both of these looks great, and then we have the separate neck piece, so that way you keep the immersion of his neck, you know, without the cowl on there. A little bit of black bleeding onto the skin tone, unfortunately, but this is the nicer hair with how the detail is done. I've tried to pop this onto some other head sculpts, like this John Wick figure. I wanted to see if this would work, but it's too big of a head, and this is too big of a neck peg. So I think maybe some other Bruce Wayne figures, like the Christian Bale or Ben Affleck ones, maybe that will work with this head, but I don't own those, so I can't confirm. And of course, we have the standard MAFEX figure stand with the bendable neck. We have different types of cradles and C-grips, as well as a stick that you can use for, you know, if you need him to like fly or anything. So you have your options with this, and you know how the base works, where it has 3 different ports. I guess it's not a TF Nut review without a really long accessory portion. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of stuff with this figure. Let's talk about the actual figure now. This head sculpt, the more stern expression here is fantastic. The eyes are printed really well. The lip color is really nicely done. Kind of like the other head sculpts, I think that the face printing is a little... I mean, I think they might have captured a bit of a stubble, which is why it looks a little heavy with the face printing. But, like, all that looks really good. It looks like Robert Pattinson to me underneath there. Again, the stitching around the cowl, like, when it comes to the design and all that, the glossiness in the head, some of the, like, bone structure captured in here with his eyebrows. I think, you know, of course, exaggerated bone structure because of how his cowl is detailed. Like the cheeks, the eyebrows, all that looks really fantastic. Nice pointy ears. And then that's what the back of the head looks like. And then this neck piece is really nicely detailed with how this cowl is done. The armor pieces, I guess, covering the neck there. A little bit of stitching around there. This collar piece has always covered, not only do we have... Okay, so this is a harder plastic, but I'm touching right here. And then it blends into the cape. So that's going to cover this to where you can't really move that. You can't see too much of the detail. But you can still see enough, I think. Very nice, like, just very intricate suit that they have captured a lot of nice details with. I want to go ahead and talk about the cape, because I think that the cape is really nicely done. I think that it's a bit of a... I mean, this is very similar material that we get with Mezco's capes, or at least the Mezco Ion. Like, the only one I have... well, I have the Sovereign Knight and the Ascending Knight ones. Very similar, like fake leather here with those as well. And let's see, one thing I wanted to mention, I think there's something sticking out here. I might be able to tuck this in later, but this right here, I'm touching that with my fingernail. That sticks out a little too much. I think it's part of a bendy wire thing that is supposed to be tucked in. I'm going to have to figure it out later. This is what the inside of the fabric looks like there. It's a little bit of a softer type of, I don't really know what type of fabric it would be. But definitely, you know, on this side, it's the fake leather. The stitching is a little too prominent, but it's, I mean, that's how it has to be done. I don't blame them for having, you know, stitching that's this distracting. It really isn't that distracting to me, quite honestly. But it all, like, drapes in together really well, like how it's in it, like how all this is bunched together. It all looks really good, and honestly, like I said earlier, this like hard plastic like sculpt here, it blends in really well with how the cape is supposed to look. I know that this is supposed to be a different material than this, but I just think it all blends together really well. When you pop off the chest, you can see how it's tucked in there. So if you do want to replace this, I don't know how it's done. I don't know how you cape customizers do it, but this is where it's all going to be ported into. So I guess it is rather easier for you guys to customize the cape if you wanted to. I'm really digging how they did the default chest piece with the weathering going on there, with the dry brushing of the silver on the dark gray, a little bit of yellow in there. The armor plating on there, what would be panel lines, I guess, looks really good. Look at me, I sound like a Gundam collector. But But that's what the side looks like. There's just a lot going on with this particular detail, like, or the design of this outfit, and they've captured it really well with how some of the padding is done here. How things are like, looks like an arrow going up and all that. They've captured that. You have the stitching on the side here. There is a gap. I'm trying to push it down, but there is this gappage here because of how all of this is done and how, what happened? No, if I was to remove this chest piece, this still would have like a hard plastic piece in the torso that's gappage down there. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong where I'm not pushing it down all the way. I think maybe if you like push it forward, I mean, there's still some gappage still, so I'm not really sure what all can be done with that. That's what the back of the figure looks like, where what would be his wingsuit, which was insane when that scene happened. That was an awesome scene. The zippers on each side looking really good. These latches and all that look great. So, what's the recall thing? Well, here's an image on the screen of some people who have had these figures, and it has the Marvel copyright on the figure instead of the DC one. So it's been recalled by different retailers. Mine shipped out before it could get recalled. That's why I have it here. Unfortunately, some people will have to wait until the end of October to get this now. Where is it on this figure you see? Well, right there. And you can't even see it unless I pull it like this. And the range of motion's a little limited on this lower like stomach piece to where, like, honestly, the way that the belt is covering that, you can't even tell. So I think that recall, I understand there's like a legality to it, I'm pretty sure. I think it's a useless recall, if I'm being honest. This might make it a little bit more of a valuable figure because of that. The arms, the shoulder pieces, I think everything looks really great there. These are these separate pieces that are on a hinge, but they might pop off at some point, so I would be careful there. But the detailing of like the wrinkles in here, the armor plating, that's like the mix of just like fabric and armor going on here. It's really nice. I can't tell if this is a paint splotch or if something's glossy going on with the plastic, but there's something right here. There might be a few areas where plastic looks a little caked on, or like paint, like right here, I should say, like right there. There was very minimal QC problems with this figure, or my particular figure at least. There's some of the yellow going on there. So the back of the arms look like as well. Again, this is really cool looking. Very nice. And then we have we kind of looked at this, but I'll give you some more looks at how this gauntlet piece looks with that grapple hook stored in there. And then these are what the fists look like. So that's the right fist, some of the knuckle detailing, and here's the left fist. I never knew what this latcher would like. It looks like a watch to me. I don't know exactly what's going on with the left hand. For any of you experts out there on this particular suit, let me know. There's some things about this suit I didn't realize until getting this figure that I just didn't realize from the movie. Moving on, because I forgot to mention that these little needle things, never saw him use them, but they're painted nicely. I gotta move on because I'm spending too much time. The belt here looks great. They've detailed some like leather in here, nice silver in different areas. This little canister right here, the yellow line. That could be a better yellow line, but that's fine, honestly. I'm not gonna bother getting mad about it. Pouches look great. This is what the back looks like. This little port right here looks like you should be able to store something, but I don't think you can. And then this is where I guess this is the like holstered version of the flare. I don't know. I don't think you can take anything out. And I'm not going to bother trying to pull on things because I'm afraid things are going to fall out. So I don't know what happened to my undone holster. I think I took it off during the review section. But give me 1 second. There we go. I had to pop it back on. So the undone holster, how he comes packaged, nice leather, some buttons there. I've already talked about this. This piece here, it looks like you might be able to like tuck it into your leg right there. Actually, that's really distracting. The idea is to make this look like all one piece. You just do it like that. And then I guess if you had the one with the stored grapple hook, this would cover that gappage. The belt, like the buckle there, looks really good. So the way, I mean, we'll talk about articulation in a bit, but there's like a dumbbell joint system. There's like a lot of space up in there for the legs. So there's a lot of gappage in there. So like, I don't know. The legs are fine, but that's just really weird how the legs are done. And it kind of just has a really weird, like, not natural movement when you do that. But you can still, like, grab the hip and move it in a natural way. Just not, like, a perfect split, unfortunately. But then when you kick it out like this crotch piece wants to rub up on the plastic on the inner thigh and make it a little glossier, unfortunately. That's what the back looks like with that bat butt, some of that detailing there. I gotta hurry up because I'm already at like 9 minutes. The actual straps around the thigh look really good. Again, the mix of fabric and armor on this thing is really nice. Like on the side of on the outer leg here, this little yellow latch there. All that looks fantastic. The knees look good. The knees to me might look like they're down a little too low, so it looks a little unnatural, but the boots look great. Nice leather detail going on here. These pieces that cover, they're a little hindering of articulation. Again, we'll get to that, but these pieces covering this kind of look a little weird to me. But the actual boots, the laces are really sick. I'm really digging it. Bottom of the feet has fantastic treading. So I did spend a little too much time talking about the actual figure, but there's just so much intricate detail with this suit overall that I just couldn't help it. It's really fantastic looking. Articulation, there's a dumbbell joint here at the head. There's also neck articulation into the body. The range of motion going down like that. Range of motion going up could be a little bit better. You can maybe force it a tiny bit. Side to side, I think could be slightly better, but it's still really good. And then the rotation, all that moves together. It allows for all this rocking. You also have bendy wires on the outer part here, and then a little bit on the inner part. So there's actually 4 different bendy wires all together on the cape for posing the cape around, which is really nice. Hopefully things don't fall apart or get snagged here, but a little bit of a drop down system for the shoulder. It could be a little bit forward and back too. I don't like how that sounds. That sounds really tight, so I'm going to be careful with that. Arms go all the way around here. They can go in and out, and then you can see that that armor piece wants to move out with it. Upper arm swivel. You do get double jointed elbows, a little bit more stiff here. I mean, the stiffness is good though, so it's not too stiff. Standard wrist articulation where it swivels here, hinge. You can swivel it to make it go in and or up and down there too. Ball jointed waist. A bit of again pretty tight plastic. Forward, side to side. It's a little bit hard to move around, but then you have stomach articulation too. That can move that around. This is this is glued on here, but this is also still a separate piece, of course. All that range of motion. Forward is not amazing on this particular figure, and the back could also be a little bit better. So I don't think that is the greatest articulation. Again, you grab the hip here, you can push out like this, and that looks natural until you like the gappage there makes it go like this, and it's a little unnatural looking. It's worse on the left leg, the way that that looks like that. Again, just grab the hip, do it like so. Just be careful with that too. I think this is actually a harder plastic crotch piece, so it might be a little bit, hard to move things around. No perfect splits, but because of that weird gappage, it allows for more splittage. That's not even a word. We do have an upper thigh swivel. This is pretty weird. I just got to be honest. It's not bad. Thigh swivel though. Double jointed knee, pretty tight. It's still good enough to actually pose around. We do have a swivel here at the actual foot, and it's on a ball peg, like a dumbbell joint, so it can only pivot a little bit, but still good enough. Down like that, it could be better. Down, up, also could be better. And then we have a bit of a toe hinge right there, and not a bit, a lot. If we're looking at the top of the ears, that's going to put this figure at about 17 centimeters. Otherwise, that is a 16.5 centimeters at the actual top of his head. So that's going to put this at about 6.5 inches. As you can see next to a Medicom Batman, 2 different companies, but that Batman is going to be a little bit taller than the one in the middle. Interesting to see. I mean, it's a comic book character next to a movie character, but it's interesting to see that the MAFEX Nightwing is going to be shorter. Far left, that is a Marvel Legends Spider-Man. That's going to be a tiny bit shorter than the MAFEX the Batman. And over on the far right, Black Series figures are going to be a little bit shorter. Overall, as you could tell with the runtime of this review, I had a lot of nice things to say about this figure. I don't think it's perfect. I do think that the gappage in the chest is a little weird. The overall torso articulation is a bit hindered, and I think whatever they're doing with the dumbbell joint in the thigh is a little unnecessary. I think it's a little weird. Everything else about this figure is really fantastic. The amount of accessories that you get here is great. Not just different hands and different heads, but you also have removable chest piece and like the removable gauntlets to where you can replace them with different stuff. It's so nice. There's a lot of different display options. The rest of the articulation besides the torso is pretty great. You can still get this into most fighting poses that you really wanted to get into. The bendy wire and the cape is also really fantastic. I think that the likeness on the unmasked Robert Pattinson heads could be a tiny bit better, but they still look really good. The only paint QC I think I found was not even paint, that some parts of the plastic looked a little bit glossy, mostly the right bicep, the left thigh area around the crotch, and actually I forgot to mention the top of the stern expression. That head has a little bit of glossiness going on there. So it's not really paint QC, just some glossiness going on where it should be matte on the plastic, but this is just still a top-notch figure. Very glad I waited and held out for this particular version. Unfortunately, some people have to wait even longer because of the recall. Some people's got sent back or just not shipped yet. So I think that if you're wanting to get this figure, which it's around $100, but if you're wanting to get this figure, I think that it's going to be worth the wait. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.